Hello and welcome to our first episode of It's All Lovely, the show which will focus on highlighting the abundance of goodness which not only surrounds us all but resides within each of us at any given moment. I am your host, Dr. Lovely. I am very excited to introduce to you my first lovely guest. She is an award winning, best selling author of 14 titles, along with holding a full time job, as well as she is a dedicated community leader and an advocate, wearing many hats. It's my honor and privilege to welcome Miss Tracee Garner, who will share her lovely world of abilities with us today. Hello, Tracee. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, lovely.
We are matching today, and we didn't even coordinate.
Nope, nope.
Isn't that something? So, I'm very excited to have you on my first show on It's All Lovely, and can't wait for you to share your lovely world of abilities with us today. Tell us about yourself a little bit to our viewers, your background, how you started with this writing and all that on your journey.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. And I really started writing, out of a little bit of depression. I was in school and failing my math classes to start, and I just started doodling and doing something else, really writing a story. It was kind of my escape plan for things that I couldn't confront, my math, like I said, and things that I didn't understand. So I didn't want to not do anything. I wanted to still be productive. So I actually started writing my stories when I was in college, and really just used it as a way to handle some of the things that were happening, some of my inabilities and other things that I was going through. And so that's really where I started, and just loved it, loved doing things and loved having fun. And, it was just so great. And I wrote my first book while I was in college, and it was actually released. And since then, I've written 14 books.
Wow. I'm glad that, you were able to tap into that energy, positive energy, and do something with it. And not only, let me tell our viewers, not only that you are a writer, but you are actually a romance writer.
Yes.
And where does this come from?
Well, it really comes from my parents. I think that they had just a beautiful love story. They were high school sweethearts.
Really?
And I used to see my parents show affection for each other. And when you're a kid, you're kind of thinking, ew, that's gross. But I remember one of my best friends telling me, like, oh, it's so romantic. Your parents still kiss and touch and hug each other. And I was thinking, romantic? It's disgusting. Like, why would they do that? But now that I'm older, I just see that it really is, kind of a lost thing. People don't show as much affection for each other, and I think that's sad. Holding hands, kissing, just embracing someone, especially in COVID, it's like, could someone just embrace us? But, kind of are not able to do that right now. So I think that I took a lot of positivity from them and really used it to show other couples in my books. And so I always think about them. My dad is deceased at this time. It's my mother's widower.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But just, just what they left me, and what he left me about relationships. And I think that there's also so many depressing things on the news. Who doesn't want to escape to a book where, all things are lovely, and, good things happen to people, and it's really romantic, and just a way to escape from your normal, your normal day, and have something positive and uplifting.
And it's so beautiful. It's actually indeed lovely. I will use this word again and again in this segment, I know, because you have such role models, and your parents, and who showed you the true love. And you are actually, I think your father and your mother would be very proud
Mm.
to that you are actually continuing the legacy, their true love legacy through
Mm.
your writings, and because that shaped your writings, kind of. And actually, a lot of people can learn that from there, because I think you talked about true love among parents. Now, with your writing, now you wrote so many books and you got published for, almost 14 books. What's the next book which is coming? Are there any books in pipeline?
Definitely. There's two books. I'm in the middle of a series. The Jameson family series is about four siblings, and I've done two books so far, and I have the third one, hopefully will be coming early next year. And then next month, this October is actually National Disability Awareness Month,
Oh,
but
really?
I am
Mm-hmm.
releasing a book about disability and about living with chronic conditions as I have, and using a wheelchair, but it's really just kind of a guidebook. I tackle several topics from mental health, physical health, employment, and community living, housing, transportation. I
Mm-hmm.
go over about 8 or 9 topics where I discuss some of the challenges that I had, but also how I overcame each of those challenges. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a reference book that people can look at and say, wow, I'm having issues in transportation, in being able to drive my own car, getting the vehicle modifications that I need. Let's see what Tracee did. So hopefully they can refer to the book. It's called Disability, an Anecdotal Field Guide for the Rest of Us. And
Mm-hmm.
it really just goes over some of the challenges that I had and how I met those and overcame them. And I also hope it'll be a resource book. It has a lot of resources that I'm going to put some in the book, but also others on my website so that it can become really more interactive and really a helpful guide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. Congratulations on these new upcoming, the creations of yours. I will call this creations because romance is not in everyone. And moreover, with disabilities issues, I think you are very well versed in that because you are going through all that and you have, like you said, overcame those challenges, and you
Mhm.
didn't, you didn't let anything stop you. So, that's why I call it that it's your lovely world of abilities you're sharing with us today. And I think people will be very lucky to have that guide as a resource, because I met you at a disability services board 12 years back, and I have seen the remarkable work these organizations do. And to find out more about those kind of places where people can actually go and learn about disabilities, because it's the more of when you go there you see the abilities in the people, how able they are. And to people who have no disability issues but still kind of get gripped with that fear factor that we can't do that. I think joining that disability services board and having you as a friend in my life has really inspired me to go the next level. Oh yes, I can do that. So thank you for doing that, Tracee. And please, to our viewers, please look out for that book. And I think Tracee, could you kindly share your where people can find you? It is good to mention that at this point so that they can look out for that book or other books coming out.
Right, sure. People can find me always at traceegarner.com. That's TRACEE Garner, my last name.com. I have a new site also that I'm working on. It's garner-solutions.com. And that
Mm,
will, both of the sites will have the books, but the Garner Solutions will be kind of the disability side of things,
mm,
working to share stories. And also, even though I'm coming out with this, book on disability, I'm really hoping to do a volume 2 where I'm going to have people contribute and tell their stories about overcoming some challenges related to chronic conditions and disability too. So I hope to be putting that together next year. I'm going to have submission guidelines on how people can contribute. And so I want to not just tell my own stories, but also tell other people's stories and hope that the unique and varied experiences of everyone will resonate with so many more people and help them too by contributing and writing a chapter or even a small section for the next book that I'll do.
So thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Let's get back to your books.
Mhm.
I know you have a lot of drive and you keep on publishing books. Many of our viewers must be curious. How do we take it to the next level? When do you know that you have a material worth publishing? What, in your view, is the best route to take? And when do you think the person thinks that it's ready, now it's ready?
Mhm. So yeah, a couple of things in that is really the best route to take is really what's going to be best for you when you consider two things. Really the time that you have to spend. I think one of the reasons self-publishing is so illustrious is because you can really, if you're ready, if you have a book and you've been working on it for several years and you've got it edited, you could publish it tomorrow when you self-publish, when you go through it yourself, when you load it up on Amazon, when you get a cover designer that you hire on your own. Self-publishing is a great way to do things, but I also recommend it if you have more than one book. And also, looking at unique types of books. If it doesn't fit into a specific category, then it will be hard for a traditional publisher to get a book deal and to get that for you because they're looking for very niche things. They're looking for things that are like, this is definitely fantasy, or this is, you know, definitely historical romance. So you have to fit into one of their boxes. And that's another reason people don't always like to go the traditional route, is because you're really waiting on someone else to say that your work has value or that your work is good enough to be here. And that might not be true. You may be able to self-publish the book and develop a very large following that will get the traditional publishers to look at you and say, wow, you've done so well with this on your own. Let us have a piece of that pie. We're going to repackage it and we'll give you a book deal. So those are some of the ways to go. But there's also one other way to really, if you want to be traditionally published, and that is to get out and network. There have been so many this year because of COVID virtual conferences that I and other aspiring writers have been able to go to, simply because it's right there online, and all you have to do is pull up a chair and open your computer and open Zoom and all the knowledge is right there. So you can still build relationships even on something that seems as off-putting as Zoom. You can still talk to publishers and agents and editors and see if you might network your way into getting a book deal. It's a little bit harder, but if you have a great personality and are really outgoing, I would say that your personality is going to resonate with them, and they may be apt to give you a deal or give you a chance and at least ask for 3 chapters or even the entire manuscript to send to them. So those are the 3 ways: either going on your own, either trying to get an agent and go through a traditional publisher, or meeting people at these online conferences. And also there's actually a pitch festival on Twitter where you can pitch your book in whatever 170 characters I think you have on Twitter. If you can write a really compelling and succinct description about your book, you can maybe have someone think, oh, I like the way that sounds. And they'll contact you through Twitter and ask you to send the manuscript. So all of these things will fit different personalities. If you're very shy and you get very tongue-tied, you don't know what to say, you're an introvert, going through Twitter where you can just write it and that's all they have to judge you on, that could be a way to really work for you. So you never know. It's important to think about, how long you want to wait. Waiting for a traditional contract is very hard and very long. Or if you want to publish tomorrow and put your book out yourself, there's a lot of pros and cons for both of them. So there is no one size fits all. It's really what you want to do. And then self-publishing also costs money. That's the other thing. Whereas when you go traditionally, they're going to pay you to just give them the book, and they'll do everything else from the editing to the book cover and all of that stuff. And you won't have to worry about any of that. So you really need to think about, your long-term goals, what you want to do, and other things. I've had both traditional contracts when I first
Mhm.
started writing and then deciding to self-publish because I
Mhm.
can release the books when I want to and I don't feel the pressure. I'm not saying
Oh
that I
yeah.
will ever
Mhm.
look for a traditional contract again, but
Mhm.
working full time as I still do, you need
Mhm.
to have that time. You sign that contract and you need to be able to deliver no matter what.
Yeah, on a timely manner.
Yes.
Yeah, because then you are kind of restricted. So I think a person who is very disciplined, they might want to take that route where
Mhm.
they're. But on the other hand, I think when the person is disciplined themselves, also then also they have both choices basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Do you do a lot of trainings and coaching?
Mhm.
I have seen you have people come to you for guidance. So could you please tell us about that?
Yeah, I have my own writers conference that I host every year. It did go virtual this past June just because of the pandemic, but it has usually been in the Northern Virginia area. And I invite all kinds of speakers, probably about 3 to 4 speakers. It's a
Hmm.
full day from about 9 to 4, and it's just very intensive. It's, to get people started. I have someone come and talk about the craft of writing, really putting your ideas together and coming up with a story. I have people talking about marketing and blogging and trying to get the word out about your book. But I've always loved organizing events and really bringing people together. And I always can talk about writing at length for hours and hours and hours. And so it really was just a way for me to bring people together to have an intimate conference, and we can have lunch and breakfast and lots of coffee. So I just love that part of getting
Hmm.
everybody together and having fun. And so that's one of the reasons I decided to do my own conference. And
Hmm.
I also used to teach a class. And when I stopped doing that, I was like, it's time for me to do a new chapter of this. And it's almost like teaching class. It's just that
Yeah.
it's just one
Hmm.
day instead of over several weeks. But I still teach my class online too. I have some different sessions and things. And I also do private writing coaching where I'm teaching and coaching students through the book writing process. And so I
Hmm.
just pick a couple of people who are interested a year, no more than 6 people for the year. And that's about what I can handle right now.
Hmm.
And we meet regularly, usually monthly, for a 90-minute session. But I'm also reading and critiquing their work and editing it, looking for mistakes and how the story flows and how they can fix their story. So
Hmm.
that's really fun to help someone with their work and help make it better and help them with the development of it, of the process. And so I just love that. I love all my students, and we have a really good time. And I love doing the private writing coaching too.
People like me who are looking for a coach, what should they look for in a coach, or what do you look for in a student?
Sure. I think one of the things that I look for before I decide if someone is going to be my student, I'm really looking at the words that they're using. I
Hmm.
feel like anyone who's really already determined kind of has a predisposition to at least having written something, maybe having had joined groups. And I also listen for what they're telling me about the story, how far along it is, or if they haven't done anything. I could really work with someone who has 20 pages at least, and I know
Hmm.
they're trying, as opposed to someone who's looking to me to just to motivate them to do page one. So I
Hmm.
think that even if it's 20 bad pages, it's still 20 pages that you've attempted
Hmm.
and that you've
Hmm.
tried, and we can work together. But if you just have some notes and you really haven't really sat down to make it into a manuscript, because when I also do coaching, I want to see, either a Word or a Google Doc or something that looks
Hmm.
formatted properly,
Yeah.
uses the right font, uses, Courier New or Times New Roman, and I want them to know kind of what they're talking about, and they've, at least made an attempt. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, and they're really ready to meet with me, at least once a month, if not more. But once a month is about what people can handle. And also, they
Hmm.
need to submit regular submissions to me. So at least 20 pages a month really is not that much, but it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good start. And it's,
Yeah.
sometimes people can't even really do that. And so then I know that you're probably not ready. As far as looking for someone, I think you need to look, I think people, first of all, don't even look at the communication that they have with a potential coach back and forth. And then they don't even look them up. They don't look up, well, have they published? Does their writing look good? Do
Yeah.
I like this book? Do they seem
Mm-hmm.
pretty professional and knowledgeable? And also looking at how much they are in contact with you. Do they send you regular emails? Hey, how's it going? What's going
Mm-hmm.
on with your book? How are you doing with it? Checking in with you regularly. But if they get, your money, and or even before,
Mm-hmm.
you get a payment in, did they ghost you? Have they just dropped off? Are they overly apologetic about not keeping in touch? Those things
Mm-hmm.
to me would be red flags that this probably isn't the right person. And I would also say that the only other thing I know from my own writing is I need someone who's encouraging. So when I pick an editor to edit my work, I have someone that I've worked with for about 5 books. And
Mm-hmm.
her little comments in the margins of my own books really mean a lot to me. She might make a smiley face or a sad face.
Yeah.
Those little details mean a lot to me, and they let me know that she's really reading, or something that I wrote she really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just need those little subtle bits of encouragement. But if I get something back that has red lines all over it, like, what does this mean? Why did you say this? And that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Those kinds of things are very off putting. And I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
want to work with someone who's that. It's not even that they're mean spirited, it's just that they're not communicating well about
Mm-hmm.
something that's very personal to me. This is my work, this is my heart on the
Yeah.
page. I'm
Mm-hmm.
bleeding, and then you're further ripping me apart, with the comments that you
Yeah.
give that are not encouraging, or even don't help me understand what I need to do to make it better. And so I think there's a delivery in
Mm-hmm.
the way people, relate to each other, the way we communicate. There's got to
Now,
be a mutual.
the Tracy, apart from your writings, publishing and coaching and training and help, you have another, you are big on community service.
Mhm.
You have been a leader in many organizations, not only in disability for disabilities, but other organizations. So I want to know, I think our viewers want to know how you really have the time, or what motivates you. Could you give us three takeaways from you, which you put in your life
Mhm.
to make it a lovely world of abilities so that we can
Yeah,
apply to it?
sure. So I think one of the things that's a big driver for me is I don't want to look up at the end of time and the end of the day, even, or in the end of the week or the year, and think that, wow, I disappointed myself. I think
Mm-hmm.
that when I look up and I see all that I've accomplished and all I've been able to do, I am really excited, and I'm like, wow, you did that. That was so great. I am proud of me. And so I think that really thinking about, not disappointing yourself. There's a song and there's a line in the Beyonce song that says, I would never disappoint myself. And I kind of feel that way. I would
I
try.
wish you could sing that one.
Yes, I cannot sing it. I would never disappoint myself, and I would always try. I just don't want to look up and be disappointed of missed opportunities, of laziness, of lack of discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and not to say that, you don't get tired and you need to take breaks and
Yeah.
self-care. Those are all important, but I just don't want to look around and feel like, man, that was a total waste of day. You did nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
I never want to do that. So really just not disappointing yourself. And really my faith is also, a big deal in my life. I'm always pretty optimistic about everything. I
Mm-hmm.
believe in common good. I believe that people have more positive intentions towards you and are
Mm-hmm.
willing to help you than those that are not, or that are trying to block your progress. I just believe that,
Mm-hmm.
the people want to be of assistance. I need help. sometimes. You know, that's the thing. And I do have a great support network. The network is so important in
Mhm.
supporting you in doing the things that you do. I couldn't sell my books. I couldn't go to a lot of book events if I didn't have someone, and you've even been with me to some events to help me. And I was just thinking, who can I get to help me sometimes, or get a volunteer, or usually my mom
Mhm.
also is always there to assist me. So a network and a good group of people around you is so, so vital and so important. And
Mhm.
then, you know, just finally, I even forget what we said during rehearsal, but, you know, I have lists and goals, and I try to think about what I want to accomplish in a year. And just try to look at big picture. I'm not so focused on the day to day, just that knowing that I need to do a little bit each day to make a bigger impact on the projects. I know how many
Yeah.
books I want to release. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have the months and the exact dates that I'm going to release them in January when I'll start planning, or actually I'm planning now, but in
Mhm.
January when I'll start doing it. But I know that such and such has to get out probably in the spring, and then something else in the fall and winter. So just really love planning. I've always been a planner. I have notes for my notes, and being very organized. You know, I
Yeah.
can't get half the stuff done if I'm always searching and looking around. So I'm really an organized person. I think some people would be surprised about how organized I am. And, you know, when I
No,
get
I think I won't be surprised, because I think organization is the key to
this,
utilizing your moments even.
mhm,
One can have a yearly goal, and think that, oh, year is, 12 months. But
mhm,
actually, it's what I see from you is, what I gather from your life is, you are utilizing each moment, and
mhm.
that is kind of collective moments are then, making your goals happen. It's a real pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Tracee, for sharing your loveliness with us today. Actually, your exemplary way of living clearly demonstrates your can-do attitude in life. And so I am very inspired. I hope our viewers are inspired too, no matter where you are in life. Especially in these COVID times, it's very, very important to have that kind of attitude. So if you would like to reach out to Tracee, please go to traceegarner.com, and I will leave you with a short original poem which kind of sums up our guest's powerful message today. Life is an individual quest. Choose to engage each moment with a zest, doing your personal best to enjoy and experience this universal fest, so that you too can feel, ah, it's all lovely. So, till next time, connect with us on isalllovely.com, and stay safe and stay well. This is your host, Dr. Lovely, signing off. Bye bye.